When hope runs you around, you stand on my shoulders and fill this beauty up with helium. When hope runs you around, you stand on my shoulders and fill this beauty up with helium. You are weightless. You are weightless. Air like water. Air like water. When hope runs you around, you stand on my shoulders and fill this beauty up with helium. Welcome to another episode of the Apocalypse. And since you have unwisely chosen the apocalypse, you are in urgent need of a guide. Unfortunately for me, I am that guide, your humble guide, Nicholas. I don't even know what to say. Let me just begin this bullshit. This was the first headline I saw, or the first thing I saw. Trump administration to end vaccine funds for poor countries. Well, you know, they've been wanting to get rid of a lot of those people for a long time. So, and this is a eugenicist type movement. Leon is one of the head Nazis along with Donnie. And how do we know Leon's a Nazi? Well, he did a Nazi salute in front of the whole world, a very emphatic, sincere one. Actually, multiple times he did it. So when you understand what Nazi ideology actually is, you know, the full horror of it, there's nothing beautiful, nothing good, nothing to envy, nothing, no wisdom. There is nothing except evil and death. That is Nazi ideology. Part of it, one aspect of Nazi ideology is thinking one group or one race is perfect and wonderful, and that's all that should be on the planet. And also, no weak, infirm, inferior humans. And by inferior, I mean unable to make $1 million a year. Any of those people, you know, expendable, especially in this era. It's not only about skin color in this era, but for Leon and Donnie, it really is. So a eugenicist ideology that goes hand in hand with Nazism, if you just study it for 5 minutes in the history books and see what Hitler did, anyone that Hitler felt was undesirable, which was usually non-Aryan people of any sort, and weak and infirm or gays or whatever, even though a lot of the top Nazis were gay. A lot of the top Nazis in this movement are gay as well. Does that mean all gay men and women are like them? No. These are specific gay people that have their own individual beliefs and way they do things and way they view the world. So it's a bit different. And we can't lump every gay person in with these people. Just like we can't lump every Republican necessarily in with these people, or every Democrat or whatever group you want to bring up. There are some Republicans that see this and they're appalled. So eugenicist ideology, well, this is part of it right here, stopping vaccinations and aid money going to these utterly poor countries that we utterly exploit for their resources, and not just the United States. All kind of countries and territories exploit the shit out of Africa. Um, I know there's often breakouts of Ebola and stuff like that in Africa. Uh, I want more monitoring of Africa medically, not less. We're getting way less, and now they're ending vaccine programs because Donnie and Leon are looting the place. Sorry. Eugenicism, that's part of it, plus the money they can steal, whatever funding went to it. And Big Jeff Goldberg actually printed the rest of the text messages, and I would have printed it 5 minutes after Tulsi Gabbard said it was not classified, that she emphatically, or in her monotone cult way of emphaticism, she emphatically said no classified info. All right, she said, Director of National Intelligence. If I was that newspaper man, I would have printed that shit 5 minutes later. And when it went to court or whatever they tried to do to me, I would just hold up that piece of testimony. No classified material. That's coming directly from the head of the, DNI. What's the problem here? We all know it was classified. And when we see these new messages that weren't included, even the ones before that should have been classified, but now these ones especially, straight up strike package. Anyway, I'm just going to go through them. They're not in order, forgive me. I just want to get the general idea. This is Joe Kent speaking. There is nothing time sensitive driving the timeline. We'll have the exact same options in a month. Remember, Hegseth is all about this. He's trying to get this strike going. The strike was imminent, actually, I believe, a half hour or an hour from when they were discussing it or something. That's what I'm hearing. Forgive me if that's not completely accurate. But remember, Hegseth was all like hype on this. Hegseth wants to play with the toys, in between shots of gin and shit. The Israelis will likely take strikes and therefore ask us for more support to replenish whatever they use against the Houthis. But that's a minor factor. So this person's saying that the Israelis might take some hits because of this. And that often happens when someone messes with a Muslim country. The first threat is, we're going to shoot a missile at Israel. We've heard that over and over again. I will send you the unclassed data we pulled on BAM shipping. And that's something I kind of glossed over, how Israel is mentioned in this whole scheme and scenario. Hegseth is also worried that Israel is going to strike first or something and get the glory. It's fucking strange. But Israel is part of this whole calculus. Egypt is, Europe is, Donnie and Hegseth and others. They have some very important plans for Israel and Gaza. As you saw in the commercial, Leon eating food by himself because no one can stand him. 40-foot statues of Donnie in gold on the Holy Land. Big resort. And eventually what you didn't see in the commercial was the temple. That's a major agenda item that they don't talk about. But don't fucking worry, they will. Once this shit jumps off, once there's military men from the U.S. in Gaza or wherever, or off on the coast on Navy ships, letting everyone know, if you fuck with Israel while they're building this temple or resort, we have their back. Once all that goes on, then you'll see what I'm talking about. And you'll probably see a lot of that commercial come to fruition. And I wonder if they're going to be ballsy enough to even put the gold statues of Donnie up. We'll just have to wait and see, huh? John Ratcliffe jumps in after Joe Kent. From CIA perspective, we are mobilizing assets to support now, but a delay would not negatively impact us, and additional time would be used to identify better starting points for coverage on Houthi leadership. Well, that sounds like a straight up plan right there. I guarantee they didn't want this unclassified. I don't care what anyone says. Even that little thing right there, that's a whole strategy that top level government people are discussing. There's no way they wanted the public to see that. In fact, they so wanted the public not to see it, they used a third-party app so it would never be recorded or archived for later scrutiny if necessary. Here's Hegseth talking to VP. I understand your concerns and fully support you raising with POTUS important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out. Economy, Ukraine peace, Gaza. So you're seeing the exact things they're aiming at and what they're worried about. Notice how Israel and Gaza keep getting mentioned. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, which is why we would need to stay focused on one, Biden failed, and two, Iran funded. Biden didn't fail at anything. Biden just didn't have a nefarious plan to extort Egypt and Europe and build a temple and build a resort in Israel or Gaza, excuse me. That's the difference between Joe. And again, the first two strikes, when you look at the map, the entrance to the Gulf of Aden is, I believe, Somalia on the left and Yemen on the right. The literal two countries that are on the coast, the entrance to the Gulf of Aden, which leads up to the Suez on the left and Israel on the right. So Biden didn't have this nefarious agenda to extort the world to do business because he thought he was Caesar. That's why Biden didn't do what Hegseth is doing right now and Donnie are doing by bombing Somalia and Yemen, pretty much, in close proximity. I believe the bombing of Somalia was February. So it wasn't that long ago. So this is a plan they've had for a while. They want to control the Suez. They want to control that waterway in between Yemen and Somalia that goes all the way up to Egypt and Israel. And they want to extort, they want to have leverage over Europe because they want Europe to do certain things, and so does Vlad. There's a lot of calculus in this, and Gaza's involved, Egypt's involved, Europe's involved in the calculus. So Biden didn't have this nefarious agenda. That's why Biden didn't do this. So Biden didn't fail at anything. Waiting a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus. Immediate risks on waiting. This leaks and we look indecisive. It's leaking while he's speaking too. Isn't it amazing? They invited the leaker in. Israel takes an action first, or Gaza ceasefire falls apart and we don't get to start this on our own terms. We can manage both. And what he means by manage it, even though he's not saying it here, is they want to control this waterway. They want to be able to turn to the world and say, look what we did. We cleared it all out for you. Pay us. That's where this is going. And Israel's mentioned again. Big part of the calculus in all this. We are prepared to execute, and if I had final go or no-go vote, I believe we should. This is not about the Houthis. Again, that's what I said when I first talked about this issue, the bombing of the Houthis. I said it's about shipping, the waterway, extortion, all that shit. And Pete's admitting it right here. I see it as two things: restoring freedom of navigation, a core national interest, and reestablish deterrence, which Biden cratered. Biden didn't do shit. Again, Biden didn't think he was Caesar, and he wasn't trying to hold the Suez hostage or that whole waterway. He didn't have the nefarious agenda. He's not trying to start a technocracy, or he wasn't. He wasn't a Nazi. He wasn't an oligarch. And this is kind of the opening team. This is from Mike Waltz. Team establishing a principals group for coordination on Houthis, particularly for over the next 72 hours. My deputy Alex Wong is pulling together a Tiger team at Deputy's Agency Chief of Staff level, following up from the meeting in the sit room this morning for action items, and we'll be sending that out later this evening. Please provide the best staff POC from your team for us to coordinate with over the next couple days over the weekend. Thanks. That's M saying that. I guess that's Mike Waltz. Mike Needham for state, JD Vance for VP, Joe Kent for DNI. This is different people saying this. Dan Katz for Treasury, Dan Caldwell for DOD, Brian McCormick for NSC. It's different people suggesting who should be involved in this. Let's go to the next thing. Did I turn the brightness up? No, I didn't. No wonder. They're going into trade figures, and what you see in this text exchange is JD mentions one trade figure. Mike Waltz has different trade figures that he mentions. And it gives the game away. They're considering how much trade is going through this area, as they basically say, without saying it fully, yeah, we're going to use this to extort Egypt and Europe. And just say, look what we did for everybody. Pay us. Protection racket. Again. So this is Mike Waltz. The trade figures we have are 15% of global and 30% of container. It's difficult to break that down to U.S. specific because much of the container either going through the Red Sea still or around the Cape of Good Hope are components going to Europe that turns into manufactured goods for transatlantic trade to the United States. Whether we pull the plug or not today, European navies do not have the capability to defend against the types of sophisticated anti-ship cruise missiles and drones the Houthis are now using. When I read that, I was like, oh my God. I know we have the largest, most powerful military, but trust me, the Europeans can take on the Houthis. They would have that if it was necessary. Believe me. And it wouldn't even be a fight. So this is another kind of myth they're throwing into the mix of the story, like only we can do this, therefore we have the right to extort everyone. That's what he's really saying here. But it's not the truth. The UK alone could take on the Houthis and they'd be just fine, don't worry. So that's ridiculous to say that. This is just an excuse for us to get military action to that waterway. It's all them justifying in their minds in case it ever goes public, blah, 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 blah. That's why these things are being said. They're not remotely true. So whether it's now or several weeks from now, it will have to be the United States that reopens these shipping lanes. Well, he just said what I just said. It has to be us. Yeah, if it's not us, we can't extort the world, can we? If Britain did it, well, then they could extort the world if they chose to. I don't think Britain's looking to do that right now, though. It sure as fuck looks like Hegseth and the boys and Donnie and Leon are ready to do that, though. Per the president's request, we are working with DOD and state to determine how to compile the costs associated and levy them on the Europeans. I don't remember if I read that yesterday. That's really bad, man. And that's literally proves everything I just said to you in the past 2 days. The plan is to extort Europe via control of this waterway. And I'm sure they'll try and extort Egypt too. And others. Whoever wants to use it. And he just admitted it. Per the president's request, and I was about to say that, all of this entire plan comes from Leon and Donnie, by the way, in case you didn't know. Even though all these idiots are talking about it as if it's their idea, it's not. It's Stephen Miller, it's Donnie Shitbags, it's Leon Scum. That's where this plan comes from. Per the president's request, so they're implicating the president as, you know, he thought this all out. This is his idea. We are working with DOD and state to determine how to compile the cost associated, class, and levy them on the Europeans. The Europeans already hate our fucking guts. thanks to annex Nazis Leon and Donnie. Then they read this. Oh, the U.S. is going to try and control the Suez and that whole waterway that leads to it and extort us. It's right there in black and fucking white. How do you think they're going to proceed from this point forward, rubes, idiots, fools that are down with all this, that think it's good? It's not going to be good for us, let's put it that fucking way. This is indisputable, flat out, from the horses' motherfucking mouths, multiple horses. We plan to extort Egypt and Europe via control this waterway. And Europe, they're such pussies, they can't even take on the Houthis with all the military they have. Again, reality is Britain alone can take on the Houthis. Britain has a real military. They have a real navy. They have a real air force. They have real ground troops. They have nukes. So one more time, because this sentence kind of gives the whole game away, doesn't it? Per the president's request. That's Donnie Shitbags, in case you're wondering. Or it could be Leon Scum, depending on which day it is. We are working with DoD state to determine how to compile costs associated and levy them on the Europeans. Here's Mike Waltz again. As we stated in the first PC, we have a fundamental decision of allowing the sea lanes to remain closed or to reopen them now or later. We are the only ones with the capability, unfortunately. No, that's not true. There are other countries that could take on the Houthis and open these waterways if they wanted to, but they don't have a nefarious agenda like these gentlemen do, passed down from Donnie Shitbags and Leon and Stephen Miller. From a messaging standpoint, we absolutely add this to of horribles on why the Europeans must invest in their defense. Well, you guys really don't want the Europeans investing more in defense, do you? Because then they'll be able to contend you. Because they're not that far behind. Couple years of real investment, they'd be close. They got nukes. They got planes. They got drones. They got troops. Europe's been around a long time. So all this bullshit, we're the only ones that can do it. No, we're not. We're the only ones with a nefarious plan and two Nazis in charge. That are the beast and the false prophet, I forgot to mention. That's the difference. Mike Waltz again. Team, you should have a statement of conclusions with taskings per the president's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes. Oh, there's the president's guidance again. State and DoD, we develop suggested notification lists for regional allies and partners. Yeah, is anyone talking about that Donnie Shitbags has mentioned several times in this? We kind of just glossed over that Donnie's behind every word that is spoken here. State and DoD, we develop suggested notification lists for regional allies and partners. Joint Staff is sending this AM a more specific sequence of events in the coming days, and we will work with DoD to ensure COS, OVP, and POTUS are briefed. Here's JD, the couch fucker. Team, I'm out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we are making a mistake. Here's JD dropping the figures on you. And again, I don't know if these figures are accurate, but remember, these are idiots. These are idiots that are serving Nazis, utter automatons. So he's been told these figures by someone, and this is why the plan is happening. Very important information right here. 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez. That's why I'm talking about the Suez, because the couch fucker's mentioning it specifically. 40% of European trade does. That's a damn high number. 40% of European trade goes through the Suez. I don't know if that's true. It doesn't matter. These fucking morons think it's true. Therefore, they're basing their actions upon that figure. And they look at that as, well, now we've got utter leverage over all of Europe. If 40% of their trade goes through there and we tell them to fuck off, we're not letting you through after we clear the way. Obvious what the plan is. Otherwise, these figures would not be being mentioned. One more time, 40% of European trade does go through the Suez. Again, gives the whole game away. They want to extort Europe because, according to the couch fucker, a significant portion of European trade goes through the Suez. There is a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. I understand why it's necessary. They want to start a technocracy and a Nazi regime, which they already have started. And this is part of the plan, controlling the world's canals, resources, etc. We've heard for how many years on all the History Channel documentaries and Nostradamus and all this, there will be war for resources, water, oil, minerals, because every country can't be the United States as built up as you are. This is what's going on. The war for resources was often talked about in the context of the Antichrist and end times and kind of the collapse of modern civilization, because there's allegedly too many people. What there really is too many oligarchs hoarding too many resources. There's not too many humans on the planet. That's ridiculous. There's a hoarding of resources issue. That's what's going on. So the plan again is Nazi technocracy, Donnie statues in the Holy Land, you worshiping Donnie, you on Donnie coin, cashless society, no more borders, 3 basic large oligarchies, probably a west, a middle, and an east. I assume that's how it would go. A Chinese, kind of like the novel 1984, where there was basically 2 empires in the whole world. That's all that was left. There really wasn't any borders anymore. Same concept, except with Nazis. And I'm not joking. This is why all this is happening. This is why trade figures about Europe and how much European trade goes through the Suez is being discussed by these lower level fucking idiots that serve Satan as well, whether they know it or not, for the power and money and positions they don't deserve, not in the slightest. They're not qualified for. Anyway, let me continue. I digress too much. The strongest reason to do this is, as POTUS said, here's Donnie again being given all the credit for all this. To send a message. Well, what's the message? We want to extort you, so we're gonna hold hostage a waterway that you vitally need. And we're going to do that in Panama as well to the rest of the world who needs that canal. Obvious. They're saying it. And they're saying it all comes from Donnie, too. Fascinating, isn't it? But I am sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. I'm willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself, but there is a strong argument for delaying this a month, doing the messaging work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc. I wonder why JD wants to delay it a month. It ain't because of messaging. There's another reason, probably financial, I assume, for him. And this was the first, when I first saw it this morning, this person posted it. And I was like, oh no, actually I got a headline notification. And then I went right to Twitter, and this person, first account I saw with it, Jeff Goldberg from The Atlantic, has just published the complete Signal chat transcript. And I got more. That's not all of it. Here's Hegseth. If you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Excuse me, that's Vance, the couch fucker, saying that. Vance again, let's just make sure our messaging is tight here. And if there are things we can do up front to minimize risks to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. So JD is really worried about oil prices and the Saudis. I wonder what financial interest he has in that whole thing. Hegseth, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. Europe isn't freeloading in any way, shape, or form. Again, this is all coming from Donnie and Leon. This whole perspective, this whole plan. Why? Because they're the beast and the false prophet, and they're both Nazis, and they worship Satan, and they want to start a technocracy without borders that goes from Greenland to South America, the top portion. And they want to control all trade, shipping, and it's a war for resources now. Like I said in all those documentaries where they put it in the context of the end times. You're there. And now that war for resources is really about to start. You think those oil wars in the 90s and the early 2000s and all that were bad? This is the real war for resources now that's about to start, where they're talking about annexing Canada, Greenland, Vlad wants to annex Ukraine, etc. That's the war for resources. You're already in it. The military just hasn't started it yet, except for in Somalia and Yemen. Those are the first casualties of the war to control the world and resources by two people who think they're Caesar and abject worship Satan. I'm not joking. That's your reality now. Whether you agree with me or not, doesn't matter. You're still in it, son. So Europe isn't freeloading. This is a Nazi ideological plan where they control the world. That's what it's really about. But Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. No, we're not the only ones on the planet who could open that waterway. That's not even remotely true. Nobody else even close. Notice how everyone keeps repeating it, though, to justify it in their mind why they're doing the evil they're about to do. Classic human behavior, repeating the propaganda to justify all their actions. Nobody else even close. Question is timing. I feel like now is as good a time as any, given POTUS directive to reopen shipping lanes. So this all comes from Donnie Shitbags and Leon, of course. They keep saying it over and over again. I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. So they're waiting to hear from Donnie for the go-ahead. As I heard it, the president was clear. I believe this is Stephen Miller. Green light, but we soon made clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. There again is the extortion of Egypt and Europe mentioned. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. Now they're talking enforcement. The only enforcement I can think of is military enforcement if people don't pay. E.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? Oh, I guess we go to war with Europe, right, Steven? Because your fucking Nazi ass won't be on the front lines, right? You fucking cunt. Big talk, though. This is not going to go well for us. People, this is horrible. And the fact that we're seeing it all in black and white and people aren't in prison right now just tells me it's the downfall of everything. And Europe and Canada and the rest of the world seeing this, do you even understand the actions that are being taken right now to cut us out of everything? I told you we're going to be isolated, we're going to be vulnerable, we're going to be dismantled, and we're going to be looted, and we're going to be motherfucking ripe for attack. And these cunts are making sure it's going to happen as they line their fucking pockets like no one's ever lined their pockets before. This is a whole new level of corruption and evil I'm talking about, and greed. You think our politicians were greedy before? You think the crooked were greedy before? You haven't met these people. So they're talking about not only extortion of Egypt and Europe, then they're talking about, well, how do we enforce that extortion? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted or extorted. Isn't that what you meant to say, Stephen? Pete Hegseth, agree. So Pete's on board, as long as it gets some more gin. Now they're talking about the actual strike, I believe. Mike Waltz, VP, building collapsed, had multiple positive ID. Pete, Carilla, the IC, amazing job. So they watched a building collapse that they hit. JD Vance is like, what? Mike Waltz, typing too fast, the first target, their top missile guy. So now they're telling us exactly who was hit. We had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and it's now collapsed. Excellent, says Vice President. Mike Waltz puts a fist emoji, flag emoji, and fire emoji. Good job, Pete and your team. I forget who MAR is. Mike Waltz. The team in Mal did a great job. Stephen Miller, great work. All powerful start, if that's Stephen Miller. Hegseth. CENTCOM is on point. Great job, all. More strikes ongoing for hours tonight, and we'll provide full initial report tomorrow, but on time, on target, and good readout so far. Susie Wiles, that's Chief of Staff, I believe. Kudos to all, most particularly those in theater, and CENTCOM, really great. God bless. I mean, look at the detail, man. Yeah, this really all should have been classified. Too bad they invited a reporter. And this is the worst one, in my opinion, as far as what could be used for our enemies before an attack to really hurt some people. Or they could move location, whatever. So besides all the extortion talk where they gave that game plan away and then linked it all literally to Donnie Shitbags, all of it. That's why you heard POTUS over and over and over again. That's Donnie Shitbags, in case you don't know. Or Leon again, depending on what day of the week it is. But as far as intelligence that could be used, intelligence that shouldn't have been seen by anyone. This is from Hegseth, who puts the whole strike package with full detail. The only thing I think he doesn't have here are coordinates, but they probably didn't even know the coordinates. If Pete knew the coordinates, he probably would have included them. Because that's the big argument online. All the Leon bots, the troll farms. There's no coordinates. I don't give a fuck. There's no way this was supposed to be not classified. I don't care if Jesus Christ himself came down and said, Nick, I swear to you, this was not supposed to be classified. This is perfect for public consumption. We meant to let everybody know about it. It's not a big deal. I'd be like, Jesus, you're a liar. We all know what the truth is. Come on now. So here's the full strike package from Pete. Team update. Time now, 11:44 Eastern. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are go for mission launch. 12:15 Eastern. F-18's launch. First strike package. 13:45. Trigger-based F-18. First strike window starts. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch MQ-9s. 14:10. More F-18s launch, second strike package. 14:15. Strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop, pending earlier trigger-based targets. 15:36. F-18 second strike starts, also first sea-based Tomahawks launched. More to follow per timeline. We are currently clean on OPSEC. Godspeed to our warriors. The couch fucker says, I will say a prayer for victory. As far as intelligence, giving away specific weapons, specific targets, names, this is just bloody fucking horrible. Strategy, the layers of attack, where the attacks are coming from, who they're going after, weather report. Oh my God, Rubes. Even though these are nefarious Satan worshipers with an agenda, Nazis, literally, they're also fucking morons. And they're in such a hurry to do that evil again that they invited a reporter in to see all this. And then they spent the entire day on your dime, taxpayer dime pays their fucking salaries, lying to everyone. There was no classified info. Tulsi, the head of national intelligence, lying her fucking face off. Double Colt face. Yeah, there was no specific weapons mentioned, blah, blah, blah. I'll get to that. You paid them to lie to you all day, and then some more today on top of it. They spent more time coming up with messaging on how to avoid the heat on this than just doing their fucking job, the proper matter. Forget the fact that they're Nazi Satanists. Put that aside for a second. Just as a team, as a group, for what they're responsible for, all of our safety, man. The safety of our whole country, the defense of this nation. And they invited a reporter in pre-strike and gave him the whole strike package, complete with every kind of weapon used or that will be used. And then at the end, you get, we are currently clean on OPSEC. Hey, Petey, you didn't notice that fucking reporter in the chat with you? Too busy drinking gin, right? Holy fucking shit, people. So even though these people are utterly evil and have an agenda and will think and try and make you think and appear they're in control, look how fucking incompetent they are. And if a reporter can get invited in and one of these cunts can be in Moscow while he's taking part in the chat, waiting for Vlad literally, imagine who else surveilled this and is surveilling them because they just refuse to use secure government devices. And they do that intentionally. And that's been going on since Donnie's first term. That little ploy, that little strategy. Let's make sure nothing's recorded because every single one of us is an abject fucking criminal. Every single one. I already read you the Mike Waltz trade figures. You don't need to do that again. Don't need to do that again. Just some names that were in the chat. It looks like JG is you, Michael Waltz, Scott B, Walker Barrett, two Bryans, Pete Hegseth, Jacob, Dan Katz, Joe Kent, SM, I assume is Stephen Miller, MAR, I can't think of that at the time. Mike Needham, John Ratcliffe, Susie Wiles, TG, JD Vance, Steve Witkoff, Alex Wong. Oh, TG, that would be Tulsi Gabbard, of course. Okay, let's move to this quickly. Trump has installed a Doge operative as the new chief information officer of the Social Security Administration in an apparent effort to evade a federal court order blocking Doge affiliates from accessing databases containing the sensitive personal information of millions of Americans. Yes, this is a strategy they're using when a judge rules against them and says, Doge, these outside agency Doge people are not allowed to access this information. This seems kind of fishy and illegal. We need to put a little injunction on that for a while till we figure it out. So then what's the next step by the criminals in your government? They just install a Doge person as head of that specific agency in some way. And then it just goes right around the court order. Oh, well, now they're part of the government. They're in the agency. They're running an aspect of the agency. So therefore they get access and the court order goes away. Disgusting that they're doing that with Social Security, that they're fucking with your people's money like that, because I know a lot of you out there are living only on Social Security. That's your only income. And these cunts that are all destined for the lake, lest they turn away from this Doge bullshit, they don't give a flying fuck. And they're taking over $100,000 a year in salary to ruin your life, ruin our country, and ruin the world. Popular information obtained an internal memorandum from acting SSA Commissioner Leland Dudek, who's another sycophant, by the way, announcing Scott Coulter, a Doge operative previously assigned to NASA and the SSA, as the SSA's new CIO. Oh, and the headline, how the Social Security Administration is dodging a federal court order. This Leland Dudek person got in trouble from his boss, his former boss, because he was giving Doge access and he did not have permission from the head of Social Security at the time. So he was reprimanded and suspended or something like that. Then they fired the head of Social Security and put that cunt in charge, who was an utter sycophant, who's utterly unqualified. And Leland got real pissed about the court order. So did Donnie. So they just installed a Doge operative at the head of Social Security in some way. The move, which was not announced publicly, seems related to a federal lawsuit filed by a coalition of labor unions on March 21st. The federal judge overseeing the case granted plaintiffs a TRO, which prohibited SSA from granting access to databases with Americans' personal info to the Doge team. Always remember, the Doge team has every bit of information about you. Never forget that. When you're feeling sympathetic, never forget that. Some of them are high school fucking kids. Son has all your personal info, whether you're 50, 60, 90, 45, whether you're responsible, irresponsible, whatever your life is. They got everything on you, son. You should be real mad about that. That Big Balls has your children's info, your wife's, your husband's, your father's, your mother's. You should be real fucking mad about that. I would be. In response, acting SSA Commissioner Dudek flipped out and said he would shut down the agency. Yes, there was talk of that. They would just, pause agency activity. That means your money wouldn't come, son. The judge released an unusual letter saying that the order applied to the Doge team only, not regular SSA staff. Dudek backed down. Well, now the Doge team is part of the staff via Mr. Coulter. And this is what Mr. Coulter looks like. It's hard to find a picture of this guy. Let me blow that up some more. Remember these names and faces. They're the downfall of your nation. They're the theft of the money you've earned over years. They're going to be the downfall of the world. And look how eager they are to do it. Isn't he cute? He's got a big smile on his face as he takes a paycheck from Social Security to ruin Social Security, what you need to survive. This is not a fucking game, people. These people think it's a game. They think it's just another job and it's all fun and shit. It won't be fun when we're at the lake. I promise you. So smile now, Scott. Lest you turn away from the Doge team. You have an appointment at the lake, son. Scott Coulter, that's Coultr, totally publicly available information. Pulled this right off of ProPublica. 40 years old, is that what they're saying? Connected to NASA. Coulter, the founder of the New York-based investment firm Cowbird Capital, which I heard went under. Actually, they don't say that here. I heard it went under recently, but I'm not positive about that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Is a Doge member seen at multiple agencies? He has wide access to internal databases at NASA, according to a screenshot shared with ProPublica. A NASA spokesperson confirmed Doge was on site at the agency, but did not confirm members or other details. Coulter has also been active at the Social Security Administration. Depositions and ongoing litigation involving Doge show. So when you don't get your check, don't worry, it paid for those caps or whatever he's got on his teeth. That should be some consolation to the rubes that don't get their Social Security check 1 month or ever again, or a lesser check. Because, again, we got satanic Nazis in charge. They're justified, right? They have a mandate, right? Isn't that what you all say? I wonder if they'll still have a mandate in your mind when you don't get your Social Security check. Just in, Judge James Boasberg has been assigned to the Signalgate lawsuit. Boasberg is the judge the administration has been talking abject shit on for a week or two now. Funny he draws this case. American Oversight versus Hegseth and others. Case assigned to Chief Judge James E. Boasberg. Wow, I hope that shit talking doesn't come back to bite you in the ass there, Donnie. Doesn't matter. Again, they're going to go full fascist at some point. They're going to get tired of these rulings. It's written all over them. Their every action, their every word, their every breath. So they're going to play along for a while, and then they're just going to say, fuck this. We don't got time for this anymore. We got to get this Reich. Got to get some steam going with this Reich here. Here's Tulsi today. It was a mistake that a reporter was inadvertently added to a Signal chat with high-level national security principals having a policy discussion about imminent strikes against the Houthis. She just admitted there was classified information in the thread. Indeed, with that statement, she's admitting the stuff was classified, but that's not what I noticed most. Yesterday, somebody was literally asked, was this a mistake that took place? And a gentleman responded, no, it wasn't a mistake. Today, Tulsi's saying it was a mistake, literally. So again, all you're getting is utter lies from these people. The story changes every 5 fucking seconds. And she lied her face off yesterday. She's kind of telling the truth a little bit here, that it was an error that the reporter was invited in. And here's Tulsi's answers from yesterday. Because I have the strike package here again, right before this. I'll give you a little bit at time now, 11:44, weather is favorable, just confirmed CENTCOM, we are go for mission launch. And then it lists all the weapons and different layers of attack. I read it to you. Now let's see what Tulsi's answers were. Senator Kelly, was there any mention of a weapon or weapon system? Gabbard, I don't recall specific weapon systems being named. A whole bunch of weapon systems were named. She remembered and she lied her fucking face off. Kelly, I'm not talking about specifics. Any weapon or weapon system. She knows exactly what he's saying and she lies again. Gabbard, I don't recall specific names of systems or weapons being used or named. Yes, you do. You're lying. Kelly, I do not want you to tell me what the specific weapon was with any weapon at all. Director Ratcliffe, I don't recall. So that's another lie. Senator Kelly, how about anything about timing, Miss Gabbard? Gabbard, I don't recall specific timing. Well, you got a whole breakdown of each layer of the attack and exactly what time it would take place. You're telling me she forgot that? No, she didn't forget that. She was lying her fucking face off as they all figured out how to handle this. I don't recall. I plead the fifth. No one pleads the fifth more than Donnie Shitbags and his people, boy. No one says I don't recall more than anyone, excuse me, no one says I don't recall more than Donnie Shitbags and his people. We've watched this over and over, where criminality is celebrated when it's gotten away with by you people. And you know who I'm talking to. And you laugh about it and you think it's great. But here's the thing. Eventually, that criminality will affect you. This time more than ever. Like I said, the Reich's coming for you. Whether you down with it, not down with it, etc. So you should never cheer on this stuff. Again, Gabbard, I don't recall specific timing. I will not get into the detail of the conversation. Well, you just said you don't recall the detail. Now you're saying you won't get into the detail. All lies. All fucking lies. So yesterday it was I don't recall, and today it's every weapon system mentioned and every time and all kind of details, and they all knew it was there and they all lied their fucking faces off yesterday. This is about Greenland. Representatives of the American government have been going door to door in Greenland's capital, Nuuk, in recent days ahead of the now canceled visit by the U.S. Second Lady, Usha Vance. This is according to TV2's correspondent in Nuuk, Jesper Steinmetz. And this is a quote. American representatives have been walking around, practically knocking on one door after another in the past few days to ask if people might be interested in a visit from the vice president's wife. Everywhere the answer was the same. No thanks. Again, maybe the annexation talk turned them off, you think? And again, personally, I'm amazed they let the planes land. If I was the head of Greenland, I forget his name, I would have said, turn those planes around. We don't want you here. This is a great comment, and the Leon bots and the troll farms hit it so hard, my God. You guys got to ease off sometimes. When I see 1,000 blue checks in a row all saying the same thing, that tells me something. All attacking the message, that tells me something. That tells me the message is, one, righteous, and two, true. You got to ease off. Troll it a little less. Don't make it so obvious. Don't bot it up so much, Leon, and troll farms in Russia and elsewhere and in America. Tone it down a bit. In a normal administration, Waltz would be fired for creating the chat. Hegseth would be fired for putting S and TS classified info on a commercial app. Gabbard would be fired for perjuring herself yesterday when she said there was nothing classified in the chat. Indeed, they would all be gone. They'd have to be. The boss just wouldn't have a choice in the matter. This is too over-the-top incompetent. It's where... it's one of those situations where... Hold on. Even if you were best friends with your boss and you did this level of fuck-up, he'd have to fire you just for appearances. That's how bad this is. Trump administration abruptly cuts billions from state health services. Well, again, eugenicist type movement, and you're being looted and dismantled at the same time. This is Anonymous commenting on the strike. And they have Mike Waltz comment here. Typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy. We had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and it's now collapsed. And then the couch fucker JD says, excellent. Anonymous says, excellent. How many other people were in that building who had nothing to do with anything? Women, children, exactly. How much collateral damage took place so Donnie and Leon can extort Europe and Egypt? How many people had to die for that? Because that's the only reason it happened. This isn't some noble effort to fight terrorism. and help global trade and help our allies. No, it's an effort by Leon and Donnie to extort Europe and Egypt. That's simple. And control the world. All the canals, the important parts. I assume the same plan for Panama is in the works in some way, unless they just strike a deal out of fear and intimidation. This is the founder of the Signal app. According to this poster, Moxie Marlinspike is the name. There are so many great reasons to be on Signal, now including the opportunity for the Vice President of the United States of America to randomly add you to a group chat for coordination of sensitive military operations. Don't sleep on this opportunity. Indeed, that kind of makes the Signal app kind of exciting when you could get invited into a classified chat, huh? Good joke. Good. I like the spirit of it. Good advertising opportunity. I like the whole thing that they're doing there. And it's true. You might accidentally get invited in to a classified chat. This is Steve Witkoff lying his ass off. I'm just going to read the first little bit of it. He put this whole thesis-length statement out that tells me he's lying his fucking face off. It doesn't require this level of explanation. He could have said it in 2 or 3 sentences. This tells me he really wants to convince you. I am incredulous that a good newspaper like the Wall Street Journal would not check with me as to whether I had any personal devices with me on either of my trips to Moscow. If they had, they would have known the truth, which is I only had with me a secure phone provided by the government for special circumstances when you travel to regions, blah, blah, blah. I'm not reading the rest. He's lying his fucking face off. This is thesis length just to say, I wasn't using my personal phone. Yes, he was. Every single one of them were. That was the point, to use the Signal app, which you cannot use on a government device. Every one of them was using their personal phone. So this man wrote a thesis to lie to you as he sat in Moscow waiting for Vlad during the Signal chat. And here's Ron Filipowski commenting, the most important part of this is that we now know these messages were being sent to Witkoff's personal cell phone. What a clown show. Yes, we all know the truth. Stop lying about it. There's evidence for everything, that everything should have been classified, that everyone was using their personal phone, and that you were doing it intentionally to avoid archiving via the government for later scrutiny, and that you want to extort Europe and Egypt and control that waterway and use it as leverage against Europe and to extort people. You want to do the same thing in Panama. That is the plan. Again, you got 2 sociopaths, 2 fat, obese, worthless fucking sociopaths in charge that both think they're Caesar. So they acting like it. Part of being Caesar is controlling the world. That's what the Caesars tried to do, a lot of them. Just like Hitler, every expansionist type empire. But especially Rome. Trump cancels 20 semi-truckloads of food deliveries en route to Ohio Food Bank. Each truck holds 100,000 pounds, so that's 2 million worth of food. I'm not even going to read the rest. It goes on for a little bit here. Yes, even trucks that already had food in them, that shit that's already paid for, all kinds of stuff is being just called back or just sitting there. Because again, eugenics is the point, and dismantling and looting is the point, and eventually worship will be the point. So we definitely know this now. Mike Waltz directly added Jeffrey Goldberg to the chat. That's confirmed. So Mikey's responsible. Classified info about a military operation was improperly shared in the text group. Confirmed. Yes, that's, I would say, classified war plans were in the chat. That's semantic. Military operation, strike, war plans. It's all war plans. Gabbard, Radcliffe, and Patel lied to Congress. Confirmed. Indeed, they were all lying their faces off, and it was obvious. Patel's eyes were more crossed than usual. Did you see how he looked? He looked like a cross-eyed deer in the motherfucking headlights. Oh my God, it was funny to watch. What a fucking joke. People are now referring to Pete Hegseth as WhiskiLeaks, and now I'm sad that I didn't think of it first. Yeah, I wish I would have thought of that too. So this is where I got the title for the show. I didn't invent that genius. Look at Hegseth with the glass of gin. Now I know why Hegseth drinks gin. In that footage they have of him drinking about 7-8 sips of a cup during a little 27-minute speech. It's a clear liquid. It looked like scotch at first in some of the camera shots when Hegseth was drinking it because it caught some color from his suit or something. But when you really examine the footage closely, it's a clear liquid. And now we know Pete's a gin man, and I think gin's clear, isn't it? So maybe that's why Pete's into gin or the clear liqueurs or liquors. So he can drink them in front of people and people won't know it's an alcoholic beverage because it's clear, from a distance. Because there's this piece of footage again where Pete is up there giving a 27-minute kind of shitty speech, and you see him sip the glass about 7-8 times, and the body language kind of says, I'm kind of doing something wrong I shouldn't do in public right now, and I hope no one notices. You know what I mean? Pete isn't good at hiding his crimes, his lies, his what he's really feeling. He's not good at hiding. And you could tell each sip he's taking where, I'm drinking straight up in public in front of everybody right here during a speech. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's a drunk. Trump announces 25% tariffs on imported cars. Now, every time I see a tariff announcement, I'm just going to call it stock manipulation because that's all it is. Because what's going to happen today when you guys all wake up, Donnie's going to change his mind after the market drops 300 or 400 points. And then that way he'll go back up 400 points. We're just going to do this over and over again as Donnie and his buddies straight up manipulate the market day after day after day, month after month. That's all I see. Anytime I see a tariff announcement from now on, all I'm going to see is stock manipulation, market manipulation. Michael Waltz's Venmo is public until moments ago, and it's chock full of reporters. Michael Waltz's Venmo is public, and it's full of journalists, and a bunch of outlets cover this, and I'm like, God, does this ever not get worse? So what is Mike Waltz? Let me just simplify this. Mike Waltz is a media whore, goes on all the news shows, and he has a Venmo that has all these journalist contacts. So what does that tell you about Mike Waltz? Mike Waltz is letting the entire journalist community know, I'm for sale. I'll leak shit to you. I'll give you statements, blah, blah, blah. Just hit my Venmo, son. And people like Matt Gaetz, Mike Waltz, they love themselves some Venmo, don't they? So once I heard about this Venmo thing full of journalists' names, that told me immediately Mike is a media whore. That means he will whore himself out for the right amount of money. That's why all the contacts are through Venmo. They're on that list. Mike will he's a leaker. Donnie's going to have to get rid of him. He's going to leak shit on the right if the right journalist comes up with the right amount of money. Mike's going to let him know. Well, look what Mike did here. He invited the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic into the chat. What if some money was exchanged for that little screw up? I doubt it. I'm not thinking that took place, but we got a media whore here. He's the one who let the reporter in. Got a Venmo full of journalist names. I don't know. So the story got more horrifying and horrifying as the day went on. Every time I went back to Twitter, and my newsfeed is designed in a way where, I got 30 things coming right at me that are relevant and important. I set it up that way on purpose. No cat pictures and shit like that. People posting about their life and all that, rarely. I set it up to be a straight news feed where I'm getting shit like that before the New York fucking Times does most times. Um, Usually their headline comes out 6 hours or a day after I talk about it. Sometimes they scoop everybody though. So, they have their moments and they have their horrible moments, and so does everyone that reports minute by minute. Anyway, oh, nothing. Just the same Trump idiots who shared defense secrets on an insecure app had their phone numbers and messaging profiles and passwords discovered online by a German newspaper. This story, again, it got worse every fucking time I went to Twitter or wherever today, or I got a headline from the New York Times sent to me or whatever. I'm just like, my God, it gets worse and worse and worse. I'm like, please make it stop. Make it stop. Because it's our national security that is gone right now with each horrid layer that gets added on top of this. Like Mike Waltz with a fucking Venmo full of reporters. That's a media host, son. Taking money from whoever the highest bidder. Oh, you need me to leak something? How much you got, motherfucker? Oh, you want to get invited into a classified? How much you got, man? This Mike Waltz, you know what I'm about. No, I don't think money was exchanged by the reporter. I don't think that took place. But it wouldn't surprise me if Mike would do that in the future when I hear about a Venmo full of journalists. So this is Der Spiegel and shit. They just went on the internet and said, let's just do, real internet searches on these people and see if we can get their phone numbers, passwords, blah, blah, blah. They got it all. They got it all. Passwords, phone numbers, profiles, all kind of things. Hegseth, Waltz, Gabbard, private data and passwords of senior U.S. security officials found. They are in charge of the military, of the intelligence agencies. They are all we have to protect us from whatever threat comes our way. 300 million of us relying on these fucking idiots. That's fucking horrifying, man. 4 U.S. troops just died in uncertain circumstances after going missing in Lithuania, roughly 6 miles from its border with Belarus. Well, I know Belarus is a problem. I know they are Russian-owned. I don't know much about Lithuania, and this is kind of a strange story. Why are these people dead? And then when Donnie's asked about it, here's the literal picture of when Donnie was asked about it in all his orange and white fuzz glory. He says he knows nothing about it. President of the United States. This is an absolutely shocking statement from POTUS. 4 U.S. troops died in Lithuania. News of it was reported hours ago, and Trump is completely clueless. They asked him about it during his daily proclamations, and he didn't know. 4 troops died, the president didn't know. What did I just say a minute ago? These people are all we have protecting us. Oh my God. We are in such danger with these people in charge. This is some information about what Der Spiegel found. Waltz's mobile number and email address could be found using the same service provider. The mobile phone number could even be found using a people search engine popular in the US. Der Spiegel reporters were also able to find several passwords for Waltz's email address in leaked databases. The information also led to Waltz's profiles for Microsoft Teams, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and Signal. As such, the reporting has revealed an additional grave, previously unknown security breach at the highest levels in Washington. Hostile intelligence services could use this publicly available data to hack the communications of those affected by installing spyware on their devices. It is thus conceivable that foreign agents were privy to the Signal chat group in which Gabbard, Waltz, and Hegseth discussed a military strike. Well, if Der Spiegel can do it, I'm sure Vlad and his people can. Oh, I know they can. It's what they do. And again, here's a picture of Mike. We get a good look at him. That's the guy who invited the reporter in. But, you know, Hegseth should have known there's a reporter in. Everyone should have known who's in the chat. That should have been verified before it even started. Let's not say jack shit till we know everyone in the chat's cool. Because this is millions of lives on the line. This is national security. This is classified info. Forget it's Nazis and Satanists. This is all we got to protect us, these fucking fools. That are all in such a hurry to get Donnie's attention via whatever evil they're trying to implement for him. That they leak classified information. And one of them was sitting in Moscow waiting for Vlad while this classified discussion was going on a third-party app to avoid archiving. After The Atlantic published a text this morning, Tulsi Gabbard is confronted today on why she lied in her testimony to the Senate yesterday. She says she misremembered. Yes, that's what she said, that she just didn't remember. She couldn't recall. And just the body language. You can tell she's lying her fucking face off. Just the whole demeanor, how she's sitting, the look on her face. Again, looks like a scared little girl trying to just make this all go away. Looks real cute and red, though, doesn't she, though? Private data and passwords of senior U.S. security officials found online. We just read all that. Let's go to the Venmo thing quickly. Mike Waltz Venmo is public and it's full of journalists. I'm just going to read two little excerpts. In a phone interview Tuesday with NBC News, Trump appeared to defend his national security advisor, telling the press, Mike Waltz has learned a lesson and he's a good man, adding that it was one of Michael's people on the phone. A staffer had his number on there. Whether Waltz has fully learned his lesson seems to be more of an open question, especially given the prospect's discovery that his personal Venmo account remains public with some 300 friends actively listed on his profile. And while Goldberg doesn't appear in Waltz's Venmo contact list, several other journalists do, according to a prospect review. Approximately 10 minutes after requesting comment, Mike Waltz's account disappeared from Venmo. Wired was the first to report the news. In a statement, National Security Council spokesperson James Hewitt said, Waltz was previously a U.S. congressman and Fox News contributor. He has relationships with people who work in the media. There should be nothing surprising here. Well, if there's nothing surprising, liar, Mr. James Hewitt, why was the Venmo made private 10 minutes after they called for comment? There must be some surprises there, or he wouldn't have went private, would it? Just like when you guys said, "Oh yeah, before the whole chat came out, you lied your faces off, every one of you, saying there was no war plans, no classified info, no weapon systems, all this, all that." The next day, we see every single thing you said was a lie. This kind of reminds me of that. What's being said right here. Again, if there's no surprises there, if we shouldn't be surprised that there's a 300 journalist names, why make it private? Why not let us continue to look at it? Oh, because you're lying. And Mike is a media whore. And even though Goldberg's name on there, that lends credibility to, no money exchange, that this was just an accident. But the fact that Goldberg isn't on the Venmo list doesn't mean shit to me. There's, a couple hundred other reporters on the Venmo list. That tells me Mike is a total media whore. And even the New York Post is talking shit. Rupert Murdoch talking shit. This ain't the first time either. Even Rupert's getting scared of these fucking people. Spilling secrets, Trump team can't argue these messages weren't classified. Of course they were. That's Rupert saying that. So let's not even pretend. Let's not debate. Let's not even entertain the facade, the lie that this wasn't classified info. And that it wasn't a colossal, major security breach. And that everyone shouldn't be fired. Let's just not pretend that shouldn't happen. And that it didn't happen. Oh, this is your country now, where anorexic, over-surgeried cunts stand in front of a jail cell, overcrowded jail cell full of God knows who, as an advertisement for Christianity, goodness, Americanism, to support her goal of more power and money. This is the puppy killer, by the way. Miss Gnome, who really needs to eat a cheesesteak and get less surgery. And I heard she was green screened in. I heard the footage of the prisoners behind her was looped or something. I don't know. I don't really see her being brave enough to actually go to El Salvador and do this, but whether she's actually in El Salvador at the jail when this is being filmed or it's looped in green screen does not matter to me. What matters to me is that some of my fellow human beings like this. They think this is cool. They think this won't come for them. They're stupid. In other words, the puppy killer, the anorexic cunt, wouldn't do these things unless it worked on you people. And again, I know a lot of you are geriatrics. And your eyes ain't so good no more, and you think that's good looking. I know. It's a lot of extensions, makeup, surgery, fake breasts. She don't eat no fucking food, though, obviously. No, it doesn't look good. And it doesn't look good when a politician or cabinet member or whatever the fuck she is, puppy killer, is standing in front of a jail, an utterly overcrowded jail cell, by the way, of God knows who, as if that's a positive thing. It's just fucking disgusting. And this is what your country is now. This is what it's slowly turned into with the WWF mentality, where photo ops are just, more important than any kind of policy. Where fake, worthless culture wars. My God, what a disgusting cunt this woman is. I'm not sure how much longer Mike Waltz is going to be able to fool Trump into believing he wasn't a regular source for Jeffrey Goldberg. Yes, I thought this immediately. When I found out Mike was the one who allowed Jeff in, I thought to myself, well, these guys have been in communication before. And then when I heard about the Venmo story, oh, Mike's a media whore. So I noticed this early on. The person that invited the report, that's a leaker. The thing that Donnie hates. He's leaked some shit to Jeffy already. That's why he had his number. So again, listen to this again. I'm not sure how much longer Mike Waltz is going to be able to fool Trump into believing he wasn't a regular source for Jeff Goldberg. Of course he was. Mike's got a Venmo full of reporters. He's a media whore. He's a leaker. He's a gossiper for money. Here's a reporter asking Miss Levitt, and when I saw a close-up of Miss Levitt, her nose job, she got her nose so tiny, like Michael Jackson tiny, it makes her face look like real wide. I saw pictures of her before the nose job. She actually looked better, in my opinion. This nose job makes her look like Skeletor because there's like no nose left. So you've got this wide European face, and then you got this tiny little nose in the middle of it. So it almost looks like there's no nose there, and she's starting to look like Skeletor. I've seen a few close-ups, and I was like, oh, God, oh yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful how small you go with the nose there, people, when you get the nose job. You got to take into account, like, the width of your face. And, you know, if someone has a super wide face, you can't put a pencil-thin nose in there. It's not going to look right. You're going to look like a parrot or something. Anyway, reporter says, why aren't launch times on a mission strike classified? So Fourth Reich Barbie says, I would defer you to the Secretary of Defense's statement. Do you trust the Secretary of Defense? Or do you trust Jeff Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat? And boy, the second you rubes hear the word Democrat, that just gets you all riled up. Oh, yeah, he's a Democrat. He must be evil. No, you're the evil one. I promise you. Why? Because you're part of this. The Democrats didn't take Russian money. The Democrats aren't rounding people up and sending them to El Salvador. They're not rounding up people that criticize Israel. That's Donnie doing that. Democrats weren't taking Russian money for the past 30 years, 20 years. Democrats aren't owned by Vlad. Democrats aren't Nazis. They're not throwing up Hitler salutes. Democrats aren't trying to annex Canada and Greenland and the Panama Canal. The Democrats aren't the ones trying to extort Europe, Egypt. The Democrats are not the ones that made all of our allies hate us within a month and a half. So making the argument that just because someone's a registered Democrat, oh, well, they must be a liar. Well, Pete Hegseth's a fucking drunk. He's got women that allege that he raped them. He's obviously lying. He gave a whole strike package to a reporter as he's boasting that OPSEC is clean. So who are you going to believe? Hegseth or Fourth Reich Barbie? Or Jeff Goldberg? As far as I'm concerned, Jeff Goldberg was the only honest person in that chat. The only responsible person. The only capable person. He was doing his job. He was being a reporter. Doing it fucking well, too. These people weren't doing their job. They were doing the bidding of a madman Satanist, Nazi. And they were in such a hurry to do that evil that they invited a reporter into the chat and he saw everything. And now we know everything. So does Europe. So does Egypt. So does Canada. So does Israel. So does Gaza. So does Palestine. Miss Gnome on her fake or real visit to El Salvador had this on her wrist. A $60,000 Rolex. But she's just one of you people, right? She's just a good country woman. Try to fight the culture war. Nah, son, she wearing a Rolex that you could never afford. As she rubes you. Let's get a closer look at that. Real authentic, right? The hardcore woman fighting for you, getting those brown-skinned immigrants out of here, shipping them to El Salvador. Maybe she should have taken the Rolex off for the photo op. And it has the price and everything, what it cost. Disgusting. And that's a shame when an anorexic cunt with a Rolex can pretend to be down home. And you buy it. And this woman, as hard as she tries, she's not attractive in the least. A lot of effort just to be ugly, man. A lot of fucking effort. And we come to the end, finally. And this person asked the question, imagine if George Soros did this. Let's look at it. Leon is announcing that they have $1 million winner. Exciting to announce our first $1 million award for supporting our petition against activist judges in Wisconsin. So Leon really wants to go after the judges. Now he's allegedly paying $1 million to somebody for signing a petition. Next $1 million award will be announced in 2 days. So again, as he's firing people, as you just lost your job, he's giving $1 million to people who sign a petition allegedly. Do I really believe these people got $1 million from Leon? No, I don't believe a word Leon ever says. Much too greedy. Maybe it's someone else's million. I don't know. I am not going to believe it till I see a bank statement from the individual named here from a bank that says $1 million. That's the only way I'll believe this. But this kind of shit works on you idiots. $1 million, is that worth giving your country away, your future, your children's future? Do you think that million's going to last forever in 2025? Is it worth it to sell your soul, your future, your children's future, your country? Because that's what you've done already. It's already too late. Enjoy the $1 million, though, asshole. If you ever actually got it. Scott A. from Green Bay, Wisconsin is the first $1 million spokesperson for signing our petition in opposition to activist judges. Stay tuned between now and April 1st for more surprise announcement from Wisconsin. Yeah, signing a petition and you win $1 million. That sounds legit, right? There's no nefarious intention or purpose there, right? And again, imagine if George Soros did it. Like I said, this Leon scum person is everything you wish Soros was. Leon wants his hand in everything. He's even allegedly giving out $1 million prizes for just signing petitions. I guess Leon's got plenty of money since you just got 43 billion more of your money. Maybe the million's coming out of that. You know, the contracts he got. Or maybe the million's coming out of, all the welfare we're giving Tesla. Or maybe the millions coming out of all the welfare we're giving SpaceX. But hey, at least these two maggots or whatever, this maggot got $1 million, right? That's worth the downfall of America. That should be a consolation to the Rube in the trailer park, right? That one person got $1 million somewhere, allegedly. Anyway, again, anyone still defending the Nazi salute guy, anyone that ever mentions George Soros' name again, I just can't take seriously. Anyone that's defending the convicted felon, adjudicated fraud, adjudicated rapist, guy tried to overthrow the government, stole 3,000 classified documents, speaks abominations every fucking day. I can't take any defense of that seriously. There is no legitimate defense of any of it. I told you all where it's going, and that's where it's going. Anyway, I don't know what else to say. Have a wonderful evening until the next episode.